Welcome to the Empowerment Hour, a podcast dedicated to the woman ready to take charge of her life, live in her purpose, and be unapologetically authentic. I am your host, Nancy Ruffin, award-winning author, mommypreneur, and committed empowerment specialist who is determined to see women live up to their fullest potential. As the self-proclaimed Latina Oprah, my goal is to share my secrets on discovering your purpose, live life intentionally, chase your dreams, and how to juggle it all. If you're ready to make a change and start living on purpose, then you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hey guys, welcome back to another week of the Empowerment Hour podcast. It's your girl, Nancy Ruffin, and this week I wanted to talk about leaving legacies and what leaving or creating a legacy actually means. This week I've been thinking a lot about legacy, and a lot of my social media posts have revolved around that idea. And so it was something that I kind of wanted to delve into, primarily because I think that it's important for us to think about how we want to be remembered. Also thinking about how what we're doing today is contributing to our legacy and what we leave behind, and what is it that we want to leave behind? How do we want people to talk about us when we're no longer here? And so I'm very conscious about this. I'm very conscious in it with the work that I do, how I live my life, the lessons that I try to teach my children, and I'm a work in progress, right? So let's not get it confused. I'm not like on a soapbox thinking that I'm just this, great, the greatest thing since sliced bread. But the older that I get and the more experience or the different experiences that I have, it really influences a lot of my decision making. And so I think before, or when I was younger, I used to operate from a place of emotion. Now I am trying, because I think that I still struggle with that emotion because I am a very emotional person. But I try to think before I react. I'm not always successful. It's trying to change major parts of your character is hard, and it takes effort, and it takes work, and it takes a level of consciousness and self-awareness. And this is something that I spoke about on the last podcast, self-awareness and really being able to look at yourself and your flaws and see where you can improve. All right. We should always be in a state of progress and a state of improvement and wanting to grow and be better and really become more aligned with who our Creator has created us to be. And a lot of the work that I do really centers on that self-awareness. And with that, I feel that the work that I'm doing is really cementing what I want my legacy to be. And for me, I want to be remembered as someone who cared about other people, someone who was willing to help other people, not only when they needed it, but during those times when they don't even realize that they need help, and so it's how I model my life, and it's how I model the work that I do, which is a huge part of why I share a lot of my personal story. It's why I try to be as transparent as I can be, because people get inspired by that, right? You can tell people what they should or shouldn't do, but you telling them that, it's not going to inspire anything, right? It's not going to motivate them to go and do something. But when you share your own story, when you share your own struggles, when you share the things that you have overcome, that's what people connect with, right? Because we love to see the underdog overcome all of these obstacles and end up on top. And so it's important, if, especially for someone like me who is in this line of work, I believe that the transparency is what helps to connect me with all of you. I think it's why I'm successful in the things that I do. I think it's why people do pay to come to my workshops and buy my books and listen to the things that I have to say, because I'm talking from experience. I'm not out here trying to preach to anyone and trying to make myself seem like I'm holier than thou, because I'm not. I'm human. I'm an average woman. I pretty much worked my way up, in the corporate world, right? In business, I started ground level, and I worked my way up into a leadership position. And it's what I've done throughout my entire life. And so whatever avenue I choose to move into, whatever lane I create for myself, I always start from the bottom. I don't try to finagle my way in, try to go straight to the top, because I understand that the only true way to get that top spot is to work for it, right? Because when you don't, people don't respect you as much. And when they don't respect you, they don't believe what you're saying. They're not buying what you're selling, right? Because it's like, who the hell are you? You made it to the top, but what qualifies you to be there, right? So I've been thinking a lot about my own personal story. I've been thinking about everything that I've shared. Many of you know about my struggle with infertility. Many of you know that my husband had been diagnosed with cancer really early on in our marriage, and I have to say that me and my husband, we just celebrated 16 years of marriage. And it has not been easy. People from the outside looking at us, it appears, like we may have it all. And I have to say that at this very point in our lives, we couldn't be happier. We have absolutely everything that we've ever dreamed of. We have a marriage that is built on solid foundation. He's my rock. I am his. We are utterly just happy with each other. We're in love with each other. We sincerely enjoy being in each other's presence. We are best friends. We have two beautiful little girls that are healthy. Our home life is stable, thank God. I mean, everything right now is pretty great, and knock on wood, because I don't want to jinx it, but it wasn't always like this. There were so many times, there were so many breakups. We got married really, really young. I was 23 when I got married. I met him when I was 20. He was my first real legit boyfriend. The first boyfriend that I kind of claimed and was loyal to, and wasn't out there, dating other people. Because I had quote unquote boyfriends before him, but it was never anything serious for me. I was still dating other people. I was just having fun. Mind you, I met him when I was 20. So before that, I was pretty much a teenager. Teenagers should not be in serious committed relationships. Absolutely not. It makes them lose focus. And I think it's just that age, you're not ready. You're not ready for the level of commitment that, long-term relationships require. And I think I knew that, which was why I wasn't trying to hear it. But when I met my husband, I don't even think when I met him, I was ready for the level of commitment, but I fell in love. And he was the first person that I loved. And so when you fall in love, it's like a whole another playing field, right? You don't even think straight. And so for me, it was like I wanted to be married. I think at that point, even though I wasn't ready, I knew that he was the person I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. And because I knew it, I needed to lock him down. I wasn't trying to let him go, And so by, I don't know, I met him when I was 20. A year after us meeting, we got engaged. Well, a year and a half after we met, we got engaged. And then a year and a half after that, we got married. But because neither one of us were really ready for the commitment that marriage required, we had so many problems. I mean, it was bad. We were really immature. We did not understand what being married was. For me, I hadn't had a really great example of a successful marriage. Because even though my parents were married and they were together and they're still together and they're happy now, but back then they were having so many problems as well. I mean, and not when I was with my husband, but during my childhood. And so a lot of what I witnessed growing up served as the guide for my own marriage. And unfortunately, it wasn't good. And I saw myself repeating a lot of the same things in my own marriage that I had seen my parents go through. Um, but the one good thing from that is that we were able to recognize the dysfunction, and we actively worked towards making our relationship work. And sometimes it was unsuccessful, even with all the work that we were putting in. Like I mentioned, we were really immature. There was suspicion of infidelity on both of our parts. He had got diagnosed with cancer. Then, we had our problems with infertility when we were trying to, conceive, and then all of these things that had contributed to the struggles that we were going through in our marriage. But it got to a point, I think, where we both decided that enough was enough. And we were going to stop arguing about all of the stuff we had been arguing about. Like, we had made a conscious decision that if we were really serious about making it work, that we would have to let go of all the BS that we had continuously kept in our marriage. And the minute we did that was the turning point for us. And that's when everything started to fall into place. And that's when I fell in love again with my husband. And it was the most amazing feeling, and I'm sharing this because I want you all to understand that there's someone in your life that there's someone that you see, and you might be coveting something that they have. Maybe it's not their relationship, but maybe it's their job, maybe it's where they're at, their status in life, maybe it's the material things that they have. But please understand that nothing that looks good has come without struggle for the person who has attained it. So that person who appears to be in their dream job and appears to be living, the fabulous life, it's not always, what you see. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors for these people. So you have to be careful what you're coveting, right? Because they may have all of that, but then you don't know the struggles and problems that also come with it. So we have to be careful about seeing people and being jealous and envious of what other people have, And so because I know of my own struggles, I don't covet anyone's life, because I know that whoever has something that I may want that I don't necessarily have right now, I always, in the back of my mind, ask myself, wow, I wonder what they went through to get that. I wonder what their journey was like. I wonder what heartbreak they have gone through or are currently going through, right? To have what they have. Because the grass always seems greener on the other side until we get there. And then we realize that it really is just a pile of shit, right? um, so I mean, I'm talking about this because when we covet or when we see other people doing well or having things that we don't have, we knock ourselves down for that, right? Instead of really focusing on our work, on what's in front of us, and on what we're doing today to create a future and a legacy that we can leave behind and we can be proud of, right? Because at the end of the day, people are not going to remember you for the house that you lived in, or for the kind of car that you drove, or for the shoes and the bags that you had sitting in your closet. People don't remember that. They remember what you did. They remember your contribution. They remember how you made them feel, not how you looked. And so think about it. What are you doing in your life to contribute to your legacy? What do you want to be remembered by? What do you want to leave behind for future generations? That when someone mentions your name, what are they saying about you? Every morning I watch a lot of self-help videos. I listen to a lot of personal development podcasts, right? Because I firmly believe that you have to actively seek out the things, experiences that you want to have in your life. And so I do this because I want to maintain my positive attitude. I want to make sure that I'm always seeing the glass as half full and not half empty. And so by constantly putting these messages in my mind and in my subconscious, it's just growing my own belief in myself and in my ability and capabilities to really overcome any obstacles. But the other day I was watching, I think it was a speech that Denzel was giving to a graduating class. I don't remember the school, but he said something that really stuck with me, and because I'm someone who is always talking about follow your dreams, you know, develop goals, discover your purpose, it really resonated with me. He says, dreams without goals are just dreams. Between goals and achievement are discipline and consistency. And that was really powerful for me because you can set a goal, but the only way you're going to achieve it is through discipline and by being consistent. You have to consistently work towards that goal in order to achieve it. I mean, and it resonated so strongly with me because it is exactly the message that I'm constantly trying to convey to the people that attend my workshops, through my podcast, through my messages. Guys, you have to put in the work. I have this vision board boot camp coming up next month, and I'm doing it because I realize that people set goals the beginning of the year, and then somewhere between January and December, they let these goals fall by the wayside. And that's because they are not being consistent, because they are not being disciplined in the actions that they have to take in order to accomplish this. So if you want something, guys, you have to make it happen. No one is going to do the work for you. No one is going to create your legacy for you. Only you can do that. So I implore you to use what you have. Okay? It's not about how much you have. but it's about using what you have and then sharing that. Figure out what your gift is, right? We all have gifts. We have all been blessed with something that we do better than someone else. And it doesn't necessarily have to be better, but we all have something that we're great at. Figure out what it is that you're great at and then share it with every single person you come in contact with. Okay, our gifts are not for us. Our gifts are to be shared. We're here to do God's work, right? We're here to be messengers. We're here to inspire each other, to be a blessing in someone else's life. Every morning when I wake up and I say my prayer, I ask God to use me that day. Use me in whatever way you deem fit. And whether it's through me sharing a word, then so be it. Maybe it's someone has to hear that message that day. And a lot of times the things that I talk about are things that just pop up into my head. It's not anything that I've thought about. Nothing. It comes into my head and it moves me to speak about a certain topic. And sometimes when that happens, God is using me to talk to somebody, because on those days when that happens, that's when I'll get the messages that say, I needed to hear this today. This is exactly how I was feeling. Thank you for making me feel better. And it's not me. And I realized that I'm just a vessel. So you have to figure out what it is that you have to offer and then spend every single day of your life sharing that gift with the world. Oprah, she said something, again, another video that I was watching that I came across, but she says, do the work as an offering, and then whatever happens, happens. And that's how she has lived her life. The work that she does is an offering for all of us. I mean, look at how many people she's touched. Look at how many people she's inspired, right? And so we all have that capability to do that. And it may not be on the same scale as Oprah, but you know what? If you're able to touch one person, then you've used your gift well. So I want you to think about what you want your legacy to be. I want you to think about how you can share your gifts. I want you to think about how you can share your own personal story. And I want you to really go out there and connect with people. Okay? And when you do that, you're going to feel so empowered. You are going to feel, that's when you're going to feel like you're living in your purpose. That is what purpose is. Okay? When you can figure out what it is that you're great at and that you love and that you're sharing with the world. Don't be afraid to share your story. Don't be embarrassed about the things that you've gone through and you've overcome, right? Because if you're at this point right now, if you're in this moment, if you're here, you have overcome whatever it was that was trying to destroy you. So I want to leave you with this final thought. When we share our personal stories of struggles, trials, and triumphs, people really connect to that. Because who hasn't encountered struggle or obstacles in their lives, right? None of us are immune to that. We all have. And by sharing our stories and being transparent about our shit, we give others permission to accept their own struggles. We help them to unload that burden that they feel like they have to carry on their own. It's not the struggle that keeps us down. It's deciding to not do something about it. Because when we see others win and triumph, it's a reminder that if they can, we can too. And so I'm going to leave you with that, guys. Something to think about. Thanks for rocking with me for another week. Follow me on my Instagram, on Facebook. You know how to find me. If you want to get back on track with your goals, buy your ticket for the Vision Board Bootcamp, September 16th. I believe we have about 3 or 4 tickets left. We're on the verge of selling out, guys. So until then, go out there, have a fabulous week, give it your all. Don't make excuses and crush some goals.